Hey, welcome to the Popcorn Perspective. It's AK once again, going over the first three episodes of The Bad Batch and theorizing where we will go from here. But before we do that, let's go over what happened in episode 1 and 3. Let's give a small review. Where does it fall under the popcorn meter? Episode 1 takes off exactly where season 2 left off for Omega and Crosshair. They're both now stuck in Mount Tantus, and we see an Imperial trooper ship crash right outside of Sector 4 of the mountain, where they're brutally murdered by an unknown beast. So basically, they crash land, and they radio to Hemlock the troops, and the lab, and they you're shooting, and Hemlock basically says, "Let them go." Then Sector 4, we can't rescue them. We don't know what killed them. Um, and we also see Omega's lifestyle now that she's basically a capture working underneath Nala Se once again. Nala Se was her comedian guardian from season 1, someone who took care of her at Camino. Um, and they draw blood of everybody in the facility and they test it. As well, she has to deal with the kennels and help monitor the dogs and the hounds. Um, Omega does this day in, day out. Every time Nalase draws her blood, Nalase also discards it. That way, Omega's blood is never tested correctly. Omega is also encouraging a working Crosshair to stay vigilant, trying to find a way to break him out. Crosshair is broken, telling her to leave. If you find a way out, just leave me behind. I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. Omega is trying to encourage him to stay alive, to stay awake, stay vigilant. Omega befriends one of the hounds that she is tending to, and once it's injured by an unknown monster outside of the base, she heals it and provides it with medicine and care. Because of this, Hemlock and the Science Division decides to execute, basically kill the dog, the hound, because now the dog is too domesticated and this thing it won't do its job when we need it to do it, whatever that job may be, when it's doing its outside patrols. And throughout this whole entire episode, we basically see a small time drop. We show Omega going to sleep, and a beautiful shot. It pans around her as she wakes up, and her hair is now a lot longer. She has a ponytail, implying a good few months have gone by. I'm not sure exactly how much. There are markings on the wall that she does every night, so I'm guessing if I took the time and paused it and counted each notch, I could get a hypothetical number of how long she's been there for. But it seems like it's been good couple of months. And that basically is how all episode 1 wraps up. We just basically show how sad the living conditions are for Omega, someone who's always wanted to escape Camino because she felt imprisoned there, to having the reign of the free world when she's traveling to Bad Batch, saving and rescuing people and helping people and just enjoying life with them, having a family bond, a father figure, a brother figure, Woodwrecker and Hunter. Now she has no one but Nalase, somebody who was basically her capture once upon a time. Sure, she works under her. Sure, she has a decent amount of respect and sway with Nalase, but there's only so much that she can do. So it is kind of sad to see Omega basically going back to how she was in season 1, just basically a prisoner in her own planet, her own home. This is basically our home. She can't leave, and she's basically imprisoned there. She can't ever leave what she wants to. It's sad to watch. On top of that, the Teen Crosshair broken down. He's always been the stoic guy in the group. He's always been a straight shooter. He knows his objective. He's not going to stray from his objective. He was always very focused. Now seeing him just have no, just be sad and and just broken. He's shaking. There's a moment you see his hands just shaking uncontrollably, showing that whatever torture method the Empire has been doing on him, it's been severe. And then another thing that we know that from season 1, there's some kind of beast, a monster hidden among the planet, making it even harder to escape. And then what's going on with her blood? Omega's blood is being thrown out day in, day out by Nala Se. What is so special about that blood? So that's something that they leave you hanging on as well. And then also, we do hear the mention from Hemlock that the Emperor is wanting something with a high M count. M count we know is midichlorians from episode 1, the amazing addition that George Lucas decided to add in. But looks like he's trying to find a high midichlorian count creature or power supply. I'm not sure exactly what the Emperor's goal is, but it's most likely leading us into Snoke and like I said last episode, the Empire. Suddenly he returned. So it's slowly building onto his cloning procedures, but obviously we'll get to that theory crafting when we get to that. Now, Episode 2 takes us basically seeing the Broken Bad Batch, smaller than ever. We've never seen the Batch this small, with just Wrecker and Hunter being the only ones two left. Wrecker being the voice of reason to a broken Hunter. That's something we never see. We always see Wrecker being the loud mouth, let's go fight, let's go blow things up. I don't want to do stealth. You know, he's a big bombastic guy. Hunter's always the commander, the leader. So he's always very safe on how presents any solution or any situation. So we see Hunter just basically going to do whatever he needs to do to find Omega, no matter how unsafe it is. So basically, we started with episode 2, where they basically meet Roland and his family from season 1. He's the Tiefling. I mean, sorry, too much Baldur's Gate over here. I mean the Devorian that we saw from season 1, who had a beef with Sid. We basically show him again, and we show that he actually still has appreciation and respect for Omega after Omega saved their lives in season 1. So he basically gives them the location of a Hemlock base. We don't know what base this is. He just said, "Hey, we know there's a base somewhere on this planet. I'll give you the coordinates." So the batch basically hightails it to the coordinates, Wrecker and Hunter. Here we get a name drop from Echo and Rex. Basically, Hunter said Wrecker and Hunter on. I apologize. Hunter basically implies that Rex and Echo are not able to join them on this adventure because they're still doing their missions on deprogramming clones and building up that whole clone uprising that we saw from season 2. So he said, "We're just gonna go in regardless," and that's where I mentioned earlier. Rex Wrecker is like, "Let's not. Let's just wait until they're available. We can't just storm a base, just us two." Hunter disregards and lands a ship and goes straight ahead. There they meet three clone cadets, kids about Omega's age. One was actually voiced by Daniel Logan, who reprises his role from the Clone War TV show, portraying the clones' kids, and also he played Boba Fett in the Clone War movie. So it's nice to see him coming back. It's been a couple of years since we saw Boba Fett as the animated Clone War series, so it's nice to see him come back as well. And they basically explain how the base that they're on is a old base that's been bombed by the Empire. Something broke out, caused them to abandon ship and bomb it to smithereens. These three clone cadets are the last three remaining. They were separated from everyone when they were escaping, and they were left behind. Um, Basically, we show just how just dark the Empire is. The Empire creates these creatures that they can't control and can't maintain, and they break out loose, and the Empire just bombs the planet, that bombs the facility, and these three kids were just left behind, stranded for who knows how long. They're now hardened, sad. It's just showing you how disgusting the Empire is even more. Here they split up, where two of the cadets don't want to venture into the lab, saying it's too dangerous. We're not going to go, and one cadet bravely leads the rest of the batch to the facility. Here in the facility, we see a lot of vines engulfing the whole facility. And anytime one of the members touches or walks around a vine, we see the vine start moving and it starts attacking the batch. These vines engulf, they get bigger, they get smaller, they tighten around you. They spread out little like minions as well that attacks you. So they're just very creepy, disgusting, weird snake-like vines that are choking the facility together. While they explore the damaged base to find some kind of data pad, some kind of communication system that they can use to find where they were going to once they abandoned ship. Uh, so they find a working pad and they're uploading everything, getting everything powered up by everyone's favorite Gronk. While they're doing this, the Viants attack even further. They have to escape going uphill while the whole entire facility is literally being like just sandwiched and just squeezed apart. While they do this, we flash back to the two clone cadets who are basically saying, "Let's just leave them behind. Let's take the ship. They have a ship somewhere here. Let's find the ship. Let's just leave. We need to survive. We've been stranded here." We told him not to go. He still took the other two down to the facility. They're not going to survive. Let's just leave. So they get to the ship, and they take off. And we show how everyone of these two cadets are just broken down. They don't trust anybody. They just want to do what they can do to escape. regardless of who they're stranding on the island, on the planet, just like what happened to them. So it's kind of sad to see. So it also adds a lot of just somberness to the whole deal. So they take off and leaving the batch behind. Here we also see the batch make it upwards up to the base where they can actually try escaping, and we see a big mouth emerge underground. It looks like a Sarlacc pit from like Return of the Jedi from Episode 6, and then also from Boba Fett the TV show, that big Sarlacc pit that ate Boba Fett. Well, it's here again, but instead of it being all sand and with no arms, now it's mixed with some kind of vines that are growing out of it. It has like a metallical like teeth, so it's definitely a mutated beast of a Sarlacc pit, which is very unique and very interesting. So it's a Star Wars show at the end of the day. So basically, the way the show this episode ends is when they're escaping or trying to escape. Who's there to save them is the two cadets who were trying to take off. They come back and save them, and basically they don't want to be like the other clones who left it behind when this facility was bombed. So they rescued everyone, and they go to escape. Here we show Hunter just show appreciation, a little bit of joy having kids back in his life. We show that he has a mutual respect for the soldiers and the cadets, and he also provides them with a place to live. He says, "We're going to drop you off at Apollo." We know Apollo as that island, that beautiful Greece-like island from season two. So it's nice to see that that place is still being referenced. That means Fee is somewhere out there. I hope she knows about what happened to Echo, because I know she and not Echo, I apologize. Tech. I know she and Tech had a thing in season two. So I really want to see her because she was a great character from season two. Uh, so yeah, that's basically how episode two ends. I think episode two might be the weakest of the two episodes. Oh, and I forgot to mention episode one on the popcorn reader. That was a theater popcorn. That was a 10 out of 10. That episode, episode one, season three, brilliant. Um, Here with episode two, it's in a mixture of like a home pop to a theater pop. It's like a 7.58. It's not the best episode, but it's not the worst episode. It's a little slow. It drags a lot, and there's it's kind of, I know you can say call consider like a filler. It's not really filler. It's just kind of showing you how the Bad Batch is handling the separation of the team, and the death and loss of some of the team members, and the kidnapping of another. So it just shows how desperate they are. They're gonna do whatever they can to rescue the remainder sister they have, Omega. Um, and we also show how the Empire is uh, doing some mutations to some kind of creatures. We don't know what they're doing exactly, but we know they're mutating and they're creating monsters and beasts. We show now that they made like a monster Sarlacc pit. We show the disregard for planets and bombing the planet after they leave the facility. So it just adds to how messed up the Empire is, and also reminds us of the Zelo Beast. Now we saw the Zelo Beast make a return in season two. That was a long cliffhanger from the Clone Wars series. Basically, it's a nearly indestructible creature. No lightsaber can pierce its armor, and it was just such a badass Godzilla, King Kong like creature from the Clone Wars series, and it made a return after like 8 years in the Bad Batch season two, showing that the Empire has been testing and working on it. So we know that the Empire is working and testing on these big beasts, these big monsters, but to what avail? What are they doing? I hope we show it later on in the season. Episode three. Now this is the best episode they've had in a while. I think not in a while. There's been a lot of good episodes, but this might be my favorite episode of this season so far. Uh, we start the episode basically with Omega's blood being drawn, and we know from episode one, every time her blood is drawn, Nalase throws it out. So now we start like a timer. Omega's blood gets drawn. Hemlock separates Nalase from Omega, basically saying there's somebody who's here who wants to see both of us. So he leaves his assistant, that assistant that we mentioned from season two, last week's episode. I mentioned is Omega's sister. So he leaves her in the care of Omega's sister, the older sister, to continuing their day to day chores. So the blood is drawn, the blood is put into the centrifuge, and that's when the timer begins of episode three. And then as the episode progresses, Nalase and Hemlock actually meets the Emperor. He arrives on Mount Tantus to inquire about Project Necromancer, which we know from I apologize. Which we know from Mandalorian season three. Project Necromancer was basically a project to bring back Sidious Palpatine in the case that he dies. So it looks like Hemlock is working on that, which makes sense because he's also studying M count for the Emperor and the Empire as well. So definitely they're hinting at Snoke. They're hinting at the cloning of Snoke, the cloning of a high force using creature that can live past Sidious's lifespan. So it definitely adds a lot to the sequels. Do with that information you may, if you like the sequels. If you don't, I'm indifferent. I'm interested to see if this show and the Mandalorian, the Ahsoka show, can bring justice to the sequels, like just like how Dave Filoni did for the prequels with the whole Clone Wars TV show. He kind of made the whole prequels 10 times better just based on how well done the Clone Wars TV show was. So I think he's slowly doing that with the sequels. I'm very interested to see what happens. So as the episode progresses, we keep falling back to the centrifuge with the blood as it keeps turning, and it's like there's like 7 or 8 bloods inside blood tubes of different clones that they're testing, but it's going around and around. So it's like a timer, and then we show the Emperor basically gives full power to Hemlock regarding the science and the study of M counts and Project Necromancer, basically giving him a blank check. We show that Hemlock strives to be in charge of the full science department of the Empire. So we show now that he has a drive and a motivation, and he's ambitious as well. Um, Nalase gives Omega her data pad at the beginning of the episode, and basically whispers to her before she meets the Emperor, "Escape. This is your one chance. Leave the base. Escape." And kind of gives her rough instructions how to do so. So here now that in the Emperor and Nalase and Hemlock are talking about Project Necromancer, we flash over to Omega talking to Crosshair, and they launch their escape using the data pad. She unlocks a cell where he takes out two troopers standing guard. There, they make a rush to the Hound Kennels, where Omega's sister, the science assistant, stops them, halts them, and basically threatens them. Um, we do show that Hunter is his hand is still shaking, and Omega does not obviously want to kill her, but they end up stunning her and making an escape under the tunnels right when she calls for help. So now the whole base is on lockdown. The whole base knows what's going on right when Sidious is leaving the planet. So it's a perfect timing. Sidious is flying off right when the base goes on lockdown. I know he's not gonna be happy when he hears about that. So then basically they send all the troopers out to search for Omega and now Crosshair, who are now using the candles. Basically the same candle that Omega forced her dog friend that she named Batcher from episode one. Uh, the same way he escaped, they use the same escape route to go past his candles into the greater unknown to the planet. Um, as they do so, we show that basically Dr. Hemlock, is basically done with Omega and Crosshair. He's basically orders them to kill them on sight. They no more stunning, no more bringing them back. They had multiple chances to be imprisoned, and they tried to escape multiple times. He said, "Screw it, kill them." So now they're basically being cornered. Omega and Crosshair decides to make a run for that Sector 4 crash ship, the one that Hemlock in episode 1 said, disregard, they're dead, we can't save them. So as they make a run to the ship to find the communication, to see maybe they can call out for help, they see and get attacked by this big, beastly, mutated bear-like creature. Uh, Showing us again the Emperor is using Hemlock to experiment on these big creatures and create mutated monsters. As the beast attacks them, they are saved by Omega's hound friend named Batcher. Batcher basically rescues Omega and Crosshair as they make an escape towards the ship. As they get to the ship to get to the communication center, they're now overwhelmed by stormtroopers. They're also overwhelmed by clone commanders who all cornered them and start taking shots. And we show an amazing fight scene with Omega and Crosshair and showing how well they work together, both being once upon a time members of the Bad Batch. Even though they've never were on the team together, it's cool to see how well they work together. We show Crosshair hand is still shaking. He's missing some shots now, something he's never done, and he's hesitating while he's shooting. So that's going to probably come back into the future. Sadly, I hope he survives the show, but we'll see. And we show a ship hover over the battlefield, and people, clone stormtroopers and clone commanders rappel down. While they're rappelling down onto the ground to surround Omega and Crosshair, they mention some kind of plan that's been put in order from the Bad Batch that they used on previous fights. Something that Tech actually came up with these strategies, and obviously Omega and Crosshair trained with Tech, so they know these techniques, and they call a plan. Basically, the plan is Crosshair provides cover fire distractions while Omega sneaks up the Rappel's zip line and zips up to the ship, takes control of the ship, kills the pilot, kills the remainder passengers, takes control of the ship, and then point it at everyone else and starts shooting at them. Well, then Crosshair gets into the ship and goes up, and then you have an amazing moment where Crosshair is using the elevator to get on the ship. Omega jumps out of the elevator and gives his cover fire where he takes the elevator up and starts piloting the ship out. It's a beautiful back to back punch, and I love the way they did that. Um, so now Omega and Crosshair are in the sky. They're trying to make it out of the division of the Emperor. They're trying to get out of the vision line, the Empire, and as they're doing so, that ticking time bomb for the beginning of the episode, the blood ticks, 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 and is now being tested. And as it's being tested, Hemlock's assistant is in that room where she hears the noises of the machine dinging. She sees a high imp count, Omega. Is Omega force sensitive? We'll get to that. Um, so she rushes to Hemlock right when Hemlock's calling the orders to shoot down their ship, and Hemlock immediately calls it off, saying, "I have the full resource of the Empire on my hands now. We'll find her." But knowing now that he lost the thing that they've been searching for, the person with the high imp count that they can use to transfer the Emperor Palpatine's abilities or character when necessary. So is Omega a cloned Force user? Is that what the Kaminoans were doing behind the Republic and the Emperor's noses? That's very interesting, and I'm very curious on how that's going to play out. And that makes sense why Nala is throwing out Omega's blood. This is what I say. Episode 3 was fantastic. You have that amazing breakout. You have the teen time bomb with Omega's blood being tested, and that's where the episode ends. Omega, Crosshair, and Batcher, that hound dog, are on the ship. God knows where now. I'm really curious now on how long it's going to take for Hunter and the Bad Batch and Echo and Omega to reunite. Is it going to be next episode? Are we going to run into further trouble? I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later because I really want to see Crosshair reunite with the group. It's been since season 1 since he's been in the group, so I really want to see how that works out. But theories, definitely. I'm theorizing that we're going to see Snoke at the end of the season as like an Easter egg, or as a as a dun dun dun, like this is what we're doing. Basically, we Project Necromancer inside the facility, the base of Mount Tantus. Every time we mention it, basically Hemlock or the Emperor is going through a highly secured, walled off section of the area. It's protected by laser beams and protected by multiple armed guards. Very hard to get into, and it cuts off. We don't know what's inside that. Is that is it too early to say? Is that Snoke? I know this is pretty early days in the Empire, but is this Snoke? Is that what they're working on right now? They're working on the big M count super villain that Sidious will take over if Sidious dies. I think so. And then what is going on with Omega? Omega is a force using clone. Even though she does not know she's a force user, she is a force user by all means. Is she going to somehow play into who Rey is from the sequels? Uh, Sidious's granddaughter? Because if he uses a forced clone and gives him his power set or nurtures Omega, and then Omega years down the line gets married and has Rey, who basically becomes the hero of the sequels. So is Omega potentially either Rey's mom or grandmother? That could be interesting, and that could be something to keep an eye on because we know somehow Sidious has a relation to Rey, but we don't know who Rey's mom is, or we don't know anything about that. So is that how we're going to find out who his mom is? Is he basically going to um, adopt Omega or take control of Omega's mind? I'm very interested to see how that's going to work out. I know it may never come true, but I know a lot of people don't like how Rey was basically, I know, quote unquote, a Mary Sue character, a character who didn't really have the necessary training to take on trained villain, or like Kylo Ren. She took him on pretty easily, but obviously Kylo Ren was injured. So there's an argument against that whole Mary Sue argument as well. But regardless, are they going to still answer why Rey Palpatine is such a big character, or why she was so like what are they gonna make it more interesting? Because we do know that Daisy Ridley is returning to Star Wars in a untitled sequel movie coming out in a couple of years. So it makes sense for them to want to rehype that character. That would be a perfect way to do so. And if this is the last season of Bad Batch, which means they're going to have to answer who Omega is or where Omega ends up going, because obviously she's not in the original trilogy, she's not in the Fall of the Empire, and she's not in the sequels. So somehow or somewhere, I'm curious on where she's going to end up, and I have a feeling Crosshair will die by the end of the season. If not him, then it's going to be Hunter. Hunter is either going to get himself killed by making a rash, bad decision. We've seen him now making harsh decisions. I have a feeling something is going to get him to either die or it's going to get Crosshair killed. Crosshair, we know, is now shaking on the shot. He's hesitating. He's not true to form. He's tortured. He's a sad person right now. He's a broken character. I have a feeling Hunter is going to do something, make a play where he expects Crosshair to be able to be there for the rescue, where Crosshair immediately just chokes and fails, getting killed, and Hunter is basically the one to blame because Hunter just did not listen to proper instructions or provide a proper timeline or guidance like he should have. Well, I'll leave you on that somber note. I'm telling you, Bad Batch is getting very interesting, and if this is just the first three episodes, I'm very curious how the next 13 episodes are going to end. Well, this has been the Pop Perspective. My name is AK. Next week episodes and onwards are going to be a lot shorter. Obviously, this was three episodes I'm covering, so don't worry. I'll try getting them under 10 minutes. I know 30-minute episodes are quite long, and I do apologize for that. But hey, like, subscribe, comment below if you had any other theories, if you disagree with my theories. Keep in the loop. You guys have a great day. Bye.